I have been waiting for some chicks to fledge or leave the nest, and they finally have. And I thought, maybe for people who have not been through that process before, I thought maybe I would explain a little bit about what goes on when the chicks get ready to leave the nest so that you can maybe have some insights into that in case you don't have that experience. So if you just want to watch super cute little greenback twin spot chicks, just turn down the volume and then you don't have to listen to me bibble babble. So yesterday the first chick left the nest mid-morning and I was not home. And this is now day 2 and the second chick has just left the nest. But in order to explain how fledging works, let me back up a few days because these chicks fledge between 16 and 18 days old. And so right around 14 days or so, I get the cage ready for the chicks. I add some extra perches that help them get off the ground inside the cage without too much effort. The parents relax and the chicks relax when they find a place where they can park the chick that's safe and sheltered. And the chick's instinct is to get to a spot that's like that. And so I often add extra reed coils. You've seen them in other videos. Here's a perch that has reed stuck into it in a sort of a spiral staircase. They're about 5 inches apart. And it makes an easy way for the chick to hop from one level to the next. And I have those hanging in a couple spots as well. I also try to double check and make sure that there is an easy exit out of the nest for the chicks. In this case, the parents kind of made it in a strange spot. And so this red branch is as close to the entrance as there was, but that's about a 7 or 8 inch drop from where the nest exit was. So I added this dowel. And then I realized that the whole nest was in danger of slipping off the top of a round ball of reeds. And so I moved it a little bit closer to kind of prop up the entrance tube into the nest. And that works much better. So you probably would notice with your own finches that the parents have started to change the diet and the frequency that they're feeding the chicks. In this case, the quantity of insect food is going down and seeds are going up. And sometimes you're lucky enough to see the parent sort of barf up the seeds. As you can see, the mom here is kind of overloaded with food for the chicks. And then almost no matter what kind of nest your parents make, you'll start to notice that the chicks are not very patient waiting in the nest chamber itself. So you can see the mom is hanging on the entrance of the nest sort of like a woodpecker because the chicks are right in the entrance tube. And so that's another sign that they're moving more and more toward the entrance. And also you'll start to see them moving. You'll see a little head poke out and you'll see the nesting material futz around and stuff. So you can tell that they're getting antsy. I guess I'll also mention, because this is kind of aimed at less experienced finch keepers, not all parents and not all species tolerate nest inspection very well. And so even though you're super curious what's going on, sometimes it's better to just observe and keep your distance, or researching the species that you are keeping will help identify which species tend to be very sensitive and which don't. But parents are, they're individual, and so you can't always tell for sure how they're going to react if you get too invasive. What reminded me to mention that is because as the chicks are getting older, the parents don't feed as frequently, and sometimes you notice they check on the nest, but they don't go in, or they go in, but they don't feed, and it's clear that they're going in and out quickly. And when they feel like the chicks need to start thinking about moving out, they let them get a bit hungry, and they don't feed them every single time they visit the chicks, or they only feed them a little bit. So that's a good sign that things are moving in the right direction, but sometimes it can feel like something's wrong. So let me show you a little clip of what it looks like when something's not right. Now, in this case, there's nothing wrong. One of the chicks left the nest and then it flew back and it got kind of stuck on top of the nest. So watch the mom. And this kind of behavior is what it looks like when they're worried about something, either in the nest or something's wrong with the chick. So you can see how different it is. She acts hesitant and concerned, and she's looking, but she doesn't want to go, she doesn't want to go in there. And so if there's a problem, sometimes this is what that looks like. This is where knowing the vocalizations of your birds can help as well. Sometimes the parents are calling to the chick. That's what she's doing. Chick, 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 chick. Sometimes they're telling the chick to stay put. In their language, it's a kind of a trill, monotone trill. This is not the right sound, but that's the best I can do. But then, if all is well, at some point there's a thunk and there's a little baby in the grass or somewhere. And they can get into some strange places. They can get caught behind shrubs and caught in grasses and whatnot, but they're pretty resilient, believe it or not. And then they'll start to try to find a safe place to be. These chicks are obviously very well feathered, and so they are ready to be out of the nest. Sometimes chicks leave a little bit early or even fall out of the nest or are even kicked out of the nest, but I'll skip over those scenarios and just concentrate on when it's appropriate for the chicks to leave. And they're a little clumsy and they kind of, can't judge things very well, but pretty quickly you'll start to see that they get stronger and more oriented, more comfortable. They start preening right away. And at this stage, the parents usually corral them up and get them all sort of in the same location, even though when they fledge, they can end up like popcorn all over the place. The parents have typically great instinct about whether the chick is in trouble or not. So if they crash into something, the parents will come check on them and like, all right, he's fine. So don't be worried if they leave him alone for a good chunk of time. The chicks need to sleep and take naps and rest. When the chick is hungry, anytime the parents come and check on them, they'll start begging. And you can't miss it. It's one of the best sounds in the whole wide world. And then usually within, say, 2 days of leaving the nest, they're not really content to wait for the parents to come feed them, and they start mobbing the parents. And it's quite a ruckus event. Here, this chick has only been out of the nest about 24 hours or so, and already exploring and getting around the flight cage just fine. Okay, well, I hope that helps you visualize sort of a run-of-the-mill fledging scenario for finches, and thanks for watching.